My name is Asif Malik. I work with Alibaba Cloud. I'm one of the 6 solution architects to have the privilege to work with Alibaba Cloud. I have 15 years of IT experience, which is less than a lot of people over here. And I've been working for most of these years as a solution architect. So as I was preparing this, I thought maybe it's best to talk about what Alibaba Cloud does and to tell Denmark a little about how far Alibaba Cloud has come. So prepared a little bit on this. We started in 1999 in an apartment with Jack Ma, had 18 of his best colleagues, his friends, who invested in the company. After 1999, we started investing in other companies such as Tmall in 2003, Taobao in 2014, Alipay in 2013, and we gradually moved to Alibaba Cloud in 2009. All of our platforms, Alibaba.com, Taobao, Tmall, even the platforms that you see on the right, the local services such as Fliggy. Fliggy is our travel-based website, is all hosted on Alibaba Cloud. We also launched China. China is our logistics arm. So the entire ecosystem of payments, of logistics, of providing e-commerce was done via a platform which we now know as Alibaba Cloud. So that's really good. We have a lot of technology. We launched a lot of websites. It's what everybody does. But what is our market share? We are 41%, or we are the largest cloud provider in China. Amazon is not even our second competition in China. Globally, we have the 3rd largest market share. We are growing at an unprecedented rate. We have been in this industry for almost 10 years now. We have 165% growth, 115% compound growth, 32 data centers, 2.1 million customers, 1.3 million paying customers. We also have the 3rd ranking cloud provider status from Forbes now. Just to give you an idea of our global coverage, we were the first to start in the Middle East. We were the first to establish a lot of centers in China. We have 32 data centers. We go live on a new data center every 2 to 3 months. We also enhance some of these capabilities with our content delivery network. We have 1,200 nodes as of today, 600 access points, which is substantial. So I thought it's important to share these numbers. It's important to share these slides, only to tell you of how much Alibaba Cloud has done or come so far. In terms of compliance, we have the most compliance certifications across the world as of today. It is more than any cloud provider or 1 or 2 cloud providers as of today. So we were the first to secure the Cloud Security Alliance Gold Star. We were the first to get MTCS T3, which is the Singapore standard, DJCP, which is a Chinese standard, a level 3, a tier 3. So all of these standards are the highest, the stringent of standards. 20,000, so ISO 20,000, 20,301, ISO 27,000, all standard certifications to operate in the IT world. Our portfolio is very basic. So we have infrastructure as a service, which I'll map over here. We have a bit of platform as a service. We have some parts of software as a service and DevOps. So within DevOps, and from my understanding for today, I'm expected to talk a lot about DevOps, to share as much as possible about DevOps with you guys. This is not DevOps. We label it as such, but resource access management in terms of keys, developer keys, in terms of resource orchestration, API, CLI are just tools to help developers, are tools to help you guys log in, use SDKs, have accesses, grant accesses, fine-grained access, and audit these things. We also provide solutions across the spectrum. So it's just not products. We actually have entire solutions. We have solutions for finance, for retail, for e-commerce, which we are very good at because we have 10 to 15 stores, for logistics, We handle 80% of mainland China logistics through our algorithms. We have come so far that we host the largest retail event in the world. It is one day, $28 billion of revenue. Our DevOps practices have enhanced to such a status where we have a NOC center for DevOps, we have a NOC center for this event, and we go ahead and we say we will enhance this with every single release. We secured 24 billion. 24 billion for the entire day, but 18 billion within 1 hour of 11/11 starting, which was our 2014 target. 1 hour, so that's a lot. So our platform is very robust, and it's only because of the practices we have to continuously release, to continuously develop, continuously integrate, and have these tested. So these are all well-tested components. These are all well-monitored or continuously monitored components. Some of our clients, we work with 33% of the Chinese market. Anybody who's in China, who's somebody, is with Alibaba Cloud. We are such a strong name that when I go to Hangzhou, I say I'm with Alibaba Cloud and everything just becomes very easy. My taxi driver knows that he's going to use Alipay. The traffic signals over there are being used by Alibaba Cloud. The shop that I'm going to go to knows Alibaba. So everything is much simpler. It's an entire world. So not just in China, but globally, we are with Singapore Post, with Philips, with a lot of other different providers. So China and overseas now. I'm a testament to our overseas growth. Our teams are growing at roughly 300% right now. So DevOps and why everybody's here. So I thought I'd quickly run through that as much as possible. No sales pitch. Is it a buzzword? Is it something that's going to die? Is it a trend? Is it going to be here for 5 years, for 10 years? Or is it something that is a way of life? So I did a little research. I graduated computer science 14 years ago. 14 years ago, everybody told me that if you want to write software, you have to start with thinking about what you need to do. You have to plan it, you have to gather requirements, and gathering requirements is the most important thing. Once your requirements are gathered, your project is locked in, you have that scope, it's part of the contract, and you don't do scope creep. You hold your scope steady. And when I became a project manager, that's what I did. I said, okay, if you want additional pieces, we will sign another agreement. This has changed. This has changed a lot. People don't look at this the same way. They don't gather requirements at the beginning. They don't test that early. They test towards the end. The handoffs, or the typical handoffs, were from development to test. Once developers were done with their code, they said, oh, okay, so here's the entire kit bag, here's everything. They then handed it to testing. Once testing was done, it was handed to production. And production guys said, oh, we have a problem, it doesn't work on your platform. And they would go back to the earlier development guys. Similarly, the support and maintenance people that were involved with this would come at the later stage. All handoffs. So this was 2003. Just to show you how quickly this moved, and this is from Wiki Commons. So I put a little note because this wasn't from my software engineering book. In 2009, a term was coined, DevOps. A gentleman started a DevOps conference in Belgium. It is a loop that we are all familiar with. By show of hands, because everybody's still in the morning thing, how many of you know this loop? Excellent, so I'm at the right conference. It's very simple. It's planning, coding, building, releasing, and then doing the loop from release, deploy, operate, monitor with some feedback. So this was fairly simple. But what is interesting is beyond this loop, beyond how it started, it was about the evolution for DevOps, from waterfall, from agile, for live ops. A lot of people have moved towards business operations. So now they say, developers are the easiest thing to change. Developers are the guys who do continuous integration, they do it very quickly, but businesses don't support it. So we need a paradigm for business operations, real-time business, real-time finance. This moved to other aspects where people said, okay, we need to look at different aspects of the continuous paradigm, which I'll discuss in a bit. What is more interesting is, as of today, there are 1,500 DevOps vendors. There are landscapes on DevOps startups. 1,500 is quite a lot to the DevOps world. It's difficult to choose. It's difficult to know which ones would work, which ones wouldn't work. It's also very interesting to see the man-robot combination or the man-machine combination. It is not just about humans anymore. It's about automation. It's about how you get the most out of your DevOps environment. The Agile landscape, I don't know if you guys have seen the Agile landscape by Deloitte. It is version 3 of this landscape. Every Agile methodology under the roof is covered by this gentleman. Anything you can possibly think of. It has received a lot of criticism. There is also some bits around what should be used, what is the best tools, what is the best methodology. A lot of people that start with DevOps have come to realize that it is a methodology that suits your organization, that works best for your organization. Similarly with tools, the tools that work best for your organization and tried and tested tools. So in terms of what this is as of today, what the trend is, the DevOps trend, I did a search from 2010 to 2018 on Google. And this is not a search based in Copenhagen. It is a global search, even though the skyline is very nice. The search in 2010 for software delivery was all about software delivery. Nobody thought about DevOps. 2009 is the time when the term was coined, which we have missing. 2014, people thought this is serious. We need to do something about it. Everybody's talking about DevOps. 2017, everybody is talking about DevOps. You can't search software delivery lifecycle without DevOps, which is a very strange thing. So it is the way software is going to be developed. So it's not a trend. It is how software is being developed. Interestingly, the trend moved from a lot of European countries to a lot of offshore centers from the beginning to the end. So I like my data. I like to go through my data and understand it. This is not just searches. This is also about C-level executives, which is from the PMI chapter. It is from the number of C-level executives who were interviewed. 92% believe this is critical for their organization, DevOps. But only 27% of them say they're highly agile. So there is a gap, and it's a well-recognized gap by a lot of people. 27,000 people who were interviewed within the DevOps world through the DevOps report said their DevOps practices have made them a lot faster, 46 times for frequent software developments or time to market, and 96 times recovery from failure. So it's good to fail. It's good to fail very quickly and then recover very quickly. And if you can do that not twice, but at 96 times, that is excellent. And if you can implement these changes at 440 times, that is even much better. So changes by your clients can be implemented extremely quickly. In addition, some of these changes will only fail at 20% of the time, which is outstanding, because some of the projects I had been on, if you change anything, program breaks, the entire methodology breaks. It would be 150%, hence no changes would be introduced. But failing 20% of the time is quite good from that number. So I promised on different other methodologies that would be used. Some of these have just started, people have just started talking about this. The ones that are darkened here are the ones that you're all very familiar with. Like continuous deployment, continuous integration, CI/CD, CT, continuous quality and testing, and tools for that. But Gartner mentioned secure DevOps last year in December 2017, which has become a concern. Continuous monitoring, continuous governance, continuous planning. So the interesting part, which I mentioned about business being at pace with Agile, is now showing up as continuous budgeting. And my personal favorite, because I am an architect, is continuous architecture. But what does this mean? Does this mean we do everything at the same time? It means we actually do things the Agile way. And some of these have formulas behind it. I'd really like to share all of these things, but perhaps you can write to me about it, and some of these details I will share. So we come to a question of, with DevOps, is automation necessary? So 2 more numbers before we get completely bored. Does automation help? Can I just do CI? Can I do continuous integration? And with continuous integration, only do continuous build, and that is DevOps. I have my code. Everybody's code merging, it's wonderful. I get the package, I deploy it, and we have a DevOps environment. With automation, time decreases by 93%. And this is days for deployment. Days since code has been available, which is a good number. Similarly, days for environment, reduction in cycle time. So from one build to another, for one environment build to another, is down by 90%. And handoffs from one department to another. I was going to mention how generally it works, which is when you develop a project, you go to your system admin gives you a server. Before that, he says, I need to go talk to the network guy. The network guy says, wait a little while, I have to get the security guy's approval for this. Comes back to you with a server and says, I've got the DBA now. So the DBA will install your database, and then you can deploy in your environment. By that time, your code base has changed. So handoffs have decreased by almost 48%. These are numbers from McKinsey. So none of these numbers I've made it up. These are pre-transformation, post-transformation numbers. And these are numbers as of 2017. Some other benefits of automation, reduction in environment downtime by 78%. Quicker, easier, faster to build environments. Reduction in time spent by 87%. Reduction in development effort, or quicker development by 30%. So not only can I deploy my code faster to the environment or write my code faster, but I actually can be going to market faster. I can make money much more sooner. So all of those numbers in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the environment, and then the feedback from the environment, if it is the correct environment where code has been deployed and code works well, is essential. And having complete control of it with single-click provisioning, with zero downtime for IT maintenance, and using your best technology. So you don't need extreme skill sets. I heard Percona a few days ago when I was arriving here. So having skill sets for technologies that you may or may not work with, having those scripts that don't fail, scripts that always execute, so not having that much documentation as well. So 0% environment defects because you've already had these scripts in place, and these scripts work with your dev team and your test team. So a recipe for success, how these numbers are great. All of these numbers guarantee that my DevOps transformation is necessary. But how do I start with this journey? A lot of hands that went up said, we already know CI and CD. Typically, according to McKinsey, once again, it should take up to 1 hour at most for you to deploy. At Alibaba, we say it should take 5 minutes, which is the time for the image to load, provided you have the correct APIs and everything, and the image is already stored and your scripts are already built. It should take 5 to 10 minutes for the entire environment to load. And this is not for the code build, this is for the image. So once you have the image, once the image is pushed through the environments, deploying it to production. Getting started is simple. It is what all of everybody has been accustomed to. It is having a CI server, a CD server. So CI is the continuous integration server. CD is the continuous development server, and image repository. So different people pushing code into a repository, different developers pushing code into a repository, this code being picked up by the CI server. From the CI server, as the code is integrated, and it is pushed into an image repository, or different releases are pushed into an image repository, you can throw it to your different environments. These environments could be on-premise, it could be on cloud. Once again, at Alibaba Cloud, we manage both. So you can use our tools or third-party tools to manage both. But the paradigm is as such, and that is what is important. So what are the tools to do this if you're doing this with Alibaba Cloud? You can use Code Pipeline. You can use our container service. We support Cloud Foundry, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible, Chef, and our own resource orchestration service. So on Alibaba Cloud, this would look like a cloud pipeline, which would use the different resources. It would use the different compute resources, the different database resources, network resources. It would use a orchestration service. It would also use our compute nodes, as well as our bucket storage for doing the same thing. So very simple stuff for people who, I thought it's important to mention this and not have something overcomplicated for people who want to get a good idea of what DevOps is. Once you have done this, once you've set up a very simple environment, you can scale it up. You can actually think about containers and actually use your containers even at this stage. So a test, staging, environment, and production, and you can containerize this entire thing. So this is what it looks like for a lot of my customers as of today. All of my customers, when they deploy their environments, they have some of their environments or microservices offering one service to their production environment and another service, and similarly other applications. They also have an entire development environment within our Swarm and Kubernetes. So our DevOps environment, as well as perhaps code coverage tools, perhaps other integration tools, testing tools, functional test tools within the dev environment, they could all be Docker images, containers. Similarly, you can have your stacks, your development stacks created, which can be pushed to integration environment or system test environment, as some people know this, as well as performance testing environment or load testing, and pre-production or staging, also known as UAT. So it depends. I've worked on projects government projects, where we've had 7 environments, and this was before we shipped it from our environment. So we had 13 environments, 4 on one side, 7 on the other. We weren't sure on some of these environments. So having a pragmatic view and maybe keeping 3 environments to start with, and then building it as required. The compute services and infrastructure services are around here. They're very similar to other cloud vendors. The platform services, relational database service, Memcache, etc. We also give a mechanism for logging this, for orchestrating it through templates, through a visual editor. And then with continuous monitoring, we also give for free Cloud Shield, Security Guard, Server Guard, Anti-DDoS, and Resource Access Management, which is a costly service. In the Gartner event, a lot of people talked about continuous trust, continuous security, continuous assessment. We've been doing this for some time. A lot of vendors have been doing this for some time. So what does continuous security and assessment mean? It means being able to realize your user, as your user logs into your system, there's a threat detection. So if your user is, let's say, logging in from, if I always log in from United Kingdom, and all of a sudden I'm logging in from one of the islands, like let's say one of the islands, it would pick up, it would give a warning email. So we have continuous detection. At the same time, what we also do for free is, it's called Aegis, or a Cloud Shield. We have 20,000 patterns of how people can access our systems wrongly. From that, we tell the users something is going wrong, and this is for free as well. Then we have a char service, which is anti-DDoS free and anti-DDoS pro. The pro is the char service, where we say, if you are attacking our servers through a distributed denial of service attack, how to protect it. And this is at runtime. We learn through a host of networks through throughout the world. So an attack at one center within Alibaba Cloud or the pattern of it replicates across the globe. Similarly, we have scrubbing centers to take care of this, so our environment always stays safe. Some of the other tools that we will be releasing, which are exciting and which nobody knows about. So this is the first conference where people will find out about this, unless you guys know Derek. Derek's my boss in China. Everybody knows Derek knows about these. So function compute is our version for compute-based APIs. Action trail for logs and log analysis. Performance testing, or PTS, is our suite, which is for stress testing. It is not highly automated, so it is just for enhancing load, reducing load. EDAS is our microservices-based offering. Measuring configuration management changes within applications through ACM. Code Stack is for workflows, gathering data. Cloud Effect is my favorite one. It is for getting what we have learned through our environment, through operations and management, to develop, to release management, and vice versa. It is a continuous loop of what Alibaba Cloud has learned from 2013 to 2017, since DevOps became famous. Some of these practices we don't actively, I'm not actively allowed to tell, but you will get this as Cloud Effect. But the practices that I can share, or a way of life within DevOps, is, as of today, we know this is not going anywhere. It will always be a way of life. It is the way code will be generated. I was very happy to do my Git repository submissions last week and submit some more codes as I was looking at unit testing and shift left methodologies. So do rigorous testing. Do rigorous testing as you're developing. Do automation as well. Leverage automation, rollbacks, configuration management. What this means is, if you have a template, if you have orchestration mechanisms, have ones that can roll back. So if your environment fails, it should be able to tell you it's failed and why it's failed. And you should be able to do configuration drifts and configuration drift management. You should be able to tell what is changed and audited and know what works best, as your different DevOps people know what works best for different clients. I have a client which we're in discussions with, and they have the same stack for at least 40 of their clients. So we are actually talking very actively on configuration management and how they can have solutions for the amount of workload, because one stack is naturally 10 to 15 servers, at least. In their case, it's 40. So performance acceptance tests for deployment tools. I can't stress this enough. I feel that when we do DevOps a lot, we select tools. We select a lot of tools, and some of these tools are not used widely. We select them in the beginning. As we go through the project, they're not used. People don't understand the value. Gradually, those tools disappear. Their meaning disappears, and somebody introduces new tools. Please do acceptance testing with your internal teams for deployment tools, for testing tools. Do difficult more often. I've heard if continuous integration works for you, it's well and good. If it doesn't work, if it breaks your code, do it more often. If there's something difficult, do it more often. It gets easier. Things support and maintenance as you start off your project. Ensure continuous feedback. Please define systems architecture early. This is only because I've been in a project midway where I started defining the architecture, and it becomes a writing exercise. It's not architecture then, it's documentation, which is not recommended. Also, if you're using DevOps from the start, it will save you time. You won't have to shift between methodologies or shift gears as bimodal, some of the bimodal methodologies, to ensure that your project is delivering on time. So that's it from my session. Thank you very much for being patient. I tried to capture as much as I could from my experience and share this with you. Thank you for listening.